Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Dbacks Dispatch. Got to turn my light on so y'all can see my face. Here back with the trio, Brandon, Gabe, and Brett. Here to talk some more fun, exciting D-backs spring training. We're just about 3 weeks away from opening day, so very excited about that. Getting ever so closer to that. We're about 2 weeks into spring training, and we hadn't seen our two best pitchers pitch. We finally got that in the last 2 days. Now, we couldn't actually physically watch it because it wasn't on TV, but it is what it is. But we're going to test out a new segment today. We're calling it the Strike Zone. So hopefully everyone enjoyed that cool little video we played there. But no, Zach Gallen had his first start of spring training on Thursday against the Texas Rangers, by the way. We just can't get away from the Texas Rangers. So that was, he didn't look very great. Like, he looks like he definitely struggled in the first. He had a single walk, and then even a wild pitch. But he did settle in after that. He did finish pretty well. He went 2 innings, but he did struggle there to start. He had 2 walks, but it's his first start in spring. It's the first time he's pitched in 4 months. I'm kind of glad that they slowly brought him along because he threw, if you include playoffs, 240, close to 240 innings last year. That's a lot. So, Gabe, what are your thoughts on the Milkman's season debut?
Yeah, it's kind of what I expected anyways. It's like, what do you expect out of a guy who hasn't thrown in 4 months, who threw 240 innings the year before? It's like, it's kind of what you're expecting him not to look as sharp as normal, velocity to be a little low. I mean, they're slowly ramping them up. I'm sure they probably told him to take it easy and to work on very specific things, especially because they're facing off against the Rangers, and who knows, maybe they'll face off against the Rangers again, in the World Series. We don't know. So why not just save, those really good bullets that he has for the actual playoffs instead of, spring training, getting them an eye on, the way his pitches look and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's fine. Like I said, it's spring training. It's his first start. I think everybody has talked about how long spring training is. Even Perdomo on the broadcast this week, he said, yeah, it's too long. So how many more starts does Gallen have? He probably has 5 more starts this spring just because of the way it works out. So, if he's really looking bad, you can tell when somebody looks bad. It's not just the velocity or whatever. You can tell when the pitcher is just not right at all. And Gallen, even though we couldn't actually see the video, yeah, Erod. I mean, he did settle in he gave up a couple runs in that first inning, but then he just pitched 2 scoreless and dominated those 2. So I'm like, he's wrapping it up. He's getting used to, facing live batters again. So yeah, it's whatever. It's the first time him coming out there, and he was limited to 35 pitches anyways. So yeah.
Brett, your thoughts on the Milkman? We cannot hear you.
There we go. Sorry about that. I had my mic muted because my cat is in the background, just meowing a bunch. I'm not usually too worried about Zach in spring. I mean, just a lot of pitchers in general. It's definitely not a good sign seeing them get blown up and seeing them give a bunch of runs, even lacking command. And obviously, if you're seeing a velo dip, that's a big thing too. But sometimes it makes me just wonder, what specifically are they working on? I know, especially for your Gallen and Merrill, they're probably not probably, they don't have to worry about fighting for a spot. Same with Erod and Fott. They're probably working on specific things. This one pitch, I need to get a better feel out of my hand. If it gets hit, it gets hit. I just need to be, get more consistency, more in-game live action reps for it. Kind of with Yumin Lin, I know we only really got to see one game of him. Didn't actually obviously get to see it, like you said, in half, 20% of these games you can actually visually see highlights of. So it's one of those where if they're working on something, like maybe the coaches are telling them like, hey, only throw these 2 pitches, maybe Gallen is trying to work a little bit more with a grip, and maybe he's even trying to just focus more on, okay, now that I got less time on the clock, I got to make sure I'm like keeping that mentally in my mind and making sure, I'm speeding up my inner clock a little bit. So I'm not too worried yet, or just at all. I'll get worried if his next like 2 or 3 spring starts, when he starts to go 3 innings, maybe 4, depending on how it goes. If he's giving up 4 or 5 runs, walking a bunch of dudes, not missing barrels, continuing to see the hard contact that we saw last year, maybe I'll start to worry. But at least for right now, I'm kind of just like, I mean, it's spring. They're probably all just working on something like, they're not trying to give up hits, but they're also probably not like, oh, I need to be perfect and need to, throw 1, 2, 3 innings every single time.
Yeah, sometimes they're also working on actual contact itself, like getting flyouts and pop-ups and grounders. Like that's just the type of that they work on, like pitching inside, throwing certain pitches inside on them. And obviously, if you miss, you miss. Like it's going to get hit pretty hard if you miss those type of pitches. But like you said, even with the E-Rod too, like a lot of the balls that got hit were in the zone. So I'm curious if maybe they're working on him, like to not nibble outside the zone so much. That's usually what he does. He's like like a crafty lefties type where he'll nibble outside his zone, get some good miss, get grounders and stuff. So maybe they're working on him to get strikes in the actual strike zone. So that way, if he goes down in the count or whatever, or he gets an umpire who doesn't call any of the pitches outside like not outside the zone, but like in that little edges and stuff, so he can throw pitches into the actual strike zone, get swing and miss, get you know get outs with it. So yeah, it is what it is. Like there's still, at least for pitchers, it's still relatively early. Maybe you might have some batters you might be worried about a little bit, but not really either.
Yeah, like I thought it was a decent debut to spring, just something for us to, I think, for Torrey and Strom to kind of get their eye on, because we know Gallen's starting opening day. Gallen is our ace. Gallen is a Cy Young candidate again. Like I think I looked at the betting odds. He's like in the top 5 for the National League. So let's see if he can. Let's see if he can take another leap. I'd say Ace B, Merrill Kelly looked
also
so
Robert
good.
Perdomo's son.
Oh my! I was gonna bring that up. That is the funniest dude. Anytime they want to mic up, it has to go to Perdomo.
I was listening to that on the broadcast at work, and it was so funny because I was like I was talking to my coworker, and then I started paying attention to it again, like right when he was like, "Oh, you want to meet my son?" And I was genuinely like, "Dude, like Perdomo has a son? I didn't know that." I was like, "This is gonna be some like wholesome family content." And then just what's your son's name? Merrill Kelly.
Kelly.
10 out of 10. Yeah, Merrill was good.
Like, Perdomo. Like that was fun. No, dude, Merrill. Brett, it was either you or Josh who said, I think they felt disrespected by their MLB The Show rating, because he went out.
I think I put that in the.
Yeah, I don't remember who put it, but it made me laugh. Like he freaking shoved. He had 3 strikeouts. Like he was I'm like, okay, Merrill's ready to go. Merrill's ready for the
2 innings, 21 pitches, 3 strikeouts, no hits, no walks, no runs. Like I was listening to the PHNX podcast. He had to go back out into the bullpen to actually finish he was supposed to get either 2 innings or 35 pitches, whatever came first. Obviously the 2 innings came first because he breezed through those.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Merrill, you're all good to go. Merrill also threw a lot of innings last year. I didn't look it up, but it was probably a little bit less, because I know I think he missed a couple of starts. And like he was kind of bummed that he wasn't going to get 200 innings because his whole cramping thing.
Yeah.
Which I hope that doesn't happen this year, because that freaked me out last year, because I'm like, Merrill, like we need Gallen and Merrill. Like we need them both to be dominant. And like there was one start at Chase Field. He was shoving, dude. He was lights out. He was breezing through. And then we get to the 6th, and he goes out for the 7th. Nope, can't do it. Yeah. It was the second start in a row at Chase where he had to leave because of cramps.
That's right. That's right. he did just have over, I think, with regular season and postseason combined, literally just over 200 innings, 177 and 2/3 in the regular season, and then 24 even in the playoffs.
Yeah,
So not the same workload, but
I really think that we should do some sort of extension for Merrill. I mean, he is 35, so it's not like he's a young pitcher, but with the way he's pitching, I mean, he could honestly keep going until he's like 40. We only have him until next year, I think, as a team option. But I don't know, maybe extend it for 2 or 3 more years, just run it back. Let's, try to get Gallen back. Like, we need to keep the guys that we have already. And like Merrill seems to just keep getting better every year.
Yeah, he
Especially the
has
way
a
he's
club option in
yeah,
25.
and only
for
for
next
7 million. Like that's
yeah. So I'm
you're
like,
just,
That's a steal.
yeah,
get him, 30 million, dollar extension for 26 and 27. Like, so we don't have to worry about it because after next year, Gallen's gone too. But it's like, who's gonna be our ace at that point? I mean, maybe Fott. We don't know. We have some young guys in the farm system, but I'm like, I think you can still get Merrill for still pretty cheap. He's gonna be 35, so or he is 35. So I highly doubt he's gonna be asking, 25, 30 million or whatever that the other guys are asking for. But he's just looking better and better, especially that run he had last year before the cramping issues, like 7 innings of just like dominant pitching, like either 1 run or 0 runs. Like it was just crazy to watch
yeah.
him work last year until he had, the cramping issues.
And
He
the
really
nice
is
thing about
underrated
the way
guy.
that he pitches, it's not he doesn't throw fast. Like he's not a fast fastball. Like he doesn't throw the heater. Like he throws it like 91, 92. So you don't have to worry about velocity. It's all about pinpoint control. If he
Mhm.
can contain, and there was a lot with Mad Bum. That's what Mad Bum wasn't heaters. He was pinpoint control. He lost his pinpoint control. So if Merrill can keep that, and that's the one thing I'm worried. I'm like, at his age, I want to see how he does this year. If he continues to shove like he has the last 2 years, I'm fine with the extension. But I just don't know because eventually they're gonna lose control.
Yeah.
Like eventually it just goes. So hopefully Merrill, the Mayor Bear, Kelly. Yeah, I could see him playing here for the rest of his career.
I think he
He's
loves
from
Arizona.
here. Yeah, I mean, he's a local boy, went to Arizona State. So fantastic outing. We have a chance to have 2 guys go 200 innings. If Merrill didn't get
potentially 3 if Erod can just be healthy.
Oh, I forgot about Erod. Yeah, dude. They do that. This bullpen's gonna be so fresh in September.
Yeah.
And
plus if Fott can be postseason Fott, and if Torrey can trust him, like if he and again, like he's still young, so maybe they won't like push him as much. He'll probably still be the consistent, like you give us 5 innings, we're probably gonna take you out unless you're fully shoving and we'll give you an extra inning to play it by ear. But there's even a good chance that if Fott, shows like what he did in the playoffs and continues it in the 2024 regular season, we could have 4. We could have 4 guys that potentially reach even 175 plus.
I don't know if Fott can do that. Like Fott for me,
I can see 150 to 170 range is doable.
I think for me, 140. I think 140 for me. If Fott can do that, to be honest, if his ERA is under 5, I'm fine with that. Like, I would prefer under 4, but like we'll just see. So that was our strike zone segment. So hopefully everyone enjoyed that. We do have one other minor story to talk about with the Dbacks. We had a slight scare yesterday. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Pina Power, had to leave the game. He got hit by a pitch on the hand, and everyone's like, no. Wasn't a big deal. After the game, he's like, fine. I don't think he even had to have a X-ray. I think he's probably just gonna have a big welt on his hand. So that would have been a big loss.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it was nothing major. He'll probably miss a couple of days. So wasn't such a big deal. I was gonna post like, everyone, can we just calm down? Can we not freak out yet until after the game? And then after the game came, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we're fine, like always.
And also it was also like an 88-mile-per-hour pitch by Kyle Hendricks. So when I looked it up, I was like, oh, did some out of control bullpen arm just hit Lourdes on the hand? And I looked, it was like 88. I'm like, I could probably take that. And
I did end up hearing that apparently
something.
it was the same hand and bone that he did break in Toronto, and the reason why he only hit 5 homers and why he had to get surgery. So I could at least see a little bit of the, like again, if it was probably a regular season thing, Lourdes probably would have been like, hey, like dog, like I'm good, just a hit by pitch, like probably would have stayed in for an inning or two, then maybe taken him out if like there was some swelling. But it's spring training. They're like, hey, precautionary thing, we're going to get you out. I mean, again, I did not enjoy that text message and seeing like Lourdes hit on the hand taken out, where it's like when you don't have context to like how fast was it, where exactly was he hit on the hand, like what was his reaction, and then like only hearing, oh, he yelled. I'm like, okay, yeah, I would yell too if I was hit by even a 75-mile-an-hour pitch on the hand. So once Gabe in the group chat was like, oh, it was Kyle Hendricks, even I was instantly like, okay, like he's fine.
It's okay. It's Kyle friggin' Hendricks. The man doesn't
Spencer
throw
Strider,
higher.
it's a different situation.
Yeah, that definitely would have been scary. We had our first set of roster cuts this past week too. None of them are that surprising. Some of the big ones, Lynn got sent down to minor league camp. Ivan Melendez, AJ Vukovic was in that first batch, and then hold up, I'm looking up the second batch. Just gotta keep scrolling on the Dbacks Twitter feed because that's the only place I knew where it was. Come on, where you at? And then second one, I'd say the big one was K-Rob.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So as of right now, they have 53. We still have a lot of cuts to make, but we also still have 2.5 weeks before they have to announce the official 26-man roster. I'm a little bummed about K-Rob. I thought he had started to look pretty good. I know he has at least 1 homer on the year. I think he's going to be starting in Reno for sure.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Just getting him at bats in Reno, getting him consistent at bats, because he was playing, but it was every other day or something, right?
Yeah.
So might as well just send him to Reno, get his work down there before they can actually make an actual proper evaluation on him.
Yeah. So it's love K-Rob, but I mean, even going into spring, it was one of those where he would have had to hit like a home run in every single game, or like basically do what Blaze Alexander's doing, where like you're either getting on base at like an insane amount, even for spring, you're driving the ball all across the fields, you're playing some good defense. Like I even know like one of the plays he got, I think, don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember listening to the game, and I think that there was a little bit of a miscue that he had out there reading a ball. And again, that's just that happens to every major leaguer every now and then, but not too surprising. But yeah, I think it's good to see at least him get consistent playing time down in AA, so then he can try to stay hot and continue off of his 2023.
All right. So our next segment is we're gonna do a quick, I'd say, NL West preview. Do we want to start at the top of the division or the bottom of the division, fellas?
I feel like bottom. Let's give the other the teams that we don't talk about as much some love. Yeah.
All right. So we'll start with the Rockies. There was a quote that basically came out a week or so ago. Chris Bryant basically regrets signing with Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah, he did not do his homework.
He did not do his homework. So the thing with the Rockies is they're very, very young. That's their thing. Like they have a lot of good young players. I think the most exciting one to watch for me is that shortstop, Tovar.
Tovar was nasty.
Dude, Tovar is something special. Like he is, like defensively, he is a fantastic shortstop. He just has to work on that bat. Like he's just he had a little bit of pop last year. Like it wasn't that bad. But no, Colorado without a doubt is gonna be last in the NL West for sure. He did have 15 home runs last year, had an OPS of 695. It's not bad based on his age. Like it's
Yeah, he
not
was really
something,
young.
so and like their outfield is pretty good too. They got a Gold Glover and Doyle. Nolan Jones is also very good. So like they have some young pieces that they're building on. It's their pitching. And because they pitch in Colorado, don't even look at their ERA.
Yeah.
Like that is not something to gauge on if the guy's good. Oh, let me look at his ERA. He pitches in Colorado, so it's going to be like an extra run and a half higher than it probably normally would. So, Colorado, I mean, if they can get 70 wins, I think for them they'll be like, yes. But I think that's probably a little bit too high. But
Yeah,
we'll
it's
just
about it's about where I have them, about 65, 66 wins. Just like anything else, like they'll probably dominate us for some reason at some point, in Chase Field, and they'll end up splitting the season series with us or something. But
Yeah.
I mean, they are honestly an exciting team to watch. It's not like they're bad. It's not the same as watching some of these other teams for the longest time, like watching the Athletics or something, where you see them, you're just sad. I'm like, damn, this team is bad. Like, god damn, dude. Like at least the Rockies, have some young, exciting talent on their roster, and I know that their fans have like a weird gripe with them about like they don't want to show up to the games to show the owners that they care about the team, but then they still sell out like every day, and it's
I
like,
think it's a big tourist thing when it
yeah,
comes to tickets.
very strange. But I'm like, I wish we had the support that the Rockies do. They have like what 35, they average 35,000 fans a game or something like that. Man,
Yeah, like
imagine if
an insane
Chase had
amount.
that.
probably
Like, that
because
would
there's
be.
nothing else to do in Denver during the summer. While
I
And
mean, there's a
here,
bunch of hiking.
it's basically spring training weather that we have right now, where like you get the cloud cover, a little bit of breeze, like oh my, like it's literally just like baseball zen, where it's like if I was in Colorado and I was a Rockies fan, obviously like can't speak, but I would definitely be like a lot worse things to do in Denver than
Yeah.
like go chill in the ballpark.
yeah. So the next team up, I could see these two going back and forth. Like I have no idea how to gauge these two, so I'm going to start with the Giants. Giants quietly had a really good off season. I don't think
They really
a lot
did.
of people are talking about it. They signed Jorge Soler. They signed Matt Chapman. They got
Unholy.
yeah, like there's a lot of pieces there,
Brought in
and they
Robbie
got
Ray. They brought in Jordan Hicks, I believe. I don't know if you said Jordan
well,
Hicks already.
Robbie Ray's not pitching until like the All-Star break
I mean,
anyway.
yeah, but it's still better to like again, like we all know the track record with Robbie and like all that. I'm not gonna be like, oh, that's like a dog water move. It's still at least a pretty solid move, like considering like I think one of their bigger issues was I don't think they had crazy pitching depth coming up. I know they have Kyle Harrison, pretty solid lefty. I believe he was the best lefty in like the minors last year, at least in AAA. Could be mistaken, but it's nice to at least have more like depth, kind of like us. Like, yeah, you can have like one or two guys, but once you get past that, like, what do you got? Like bullpen games. Like, I think the Giants started more bullpen games last year than us, than the Rays, than like anybody. Like,
We
they
are
basically
not going
tried
to
to be.
see that because
Yeah, thankfully.
they brought in Bob Melvin. Bob Melvin doesn't do bullpen games.
Yeah.
For some reason, Gabe Kapler loved the bullpen. Like they did like once a week. Like
He was too analytical when it came to some of the bullpen starts.
Yeah. So the Giants also have a Cy Young candidate in Logan Webb. Logan Webb does not give up runs. Logan Webb is I think Logan Webb is a dark horse for NL Cy Young. Like Logan Webb is nasty.
I mean, he finished second last year.
Yeah. I think
Second or third.
Sorry, Gallen was second and he was third.
Yeah. I think I have the Giants right now 82 wins. Just because that's around what they got last year, right? They're what 79 wins ish. Because they got Soler, they got Chappie, but playing in San Francisco, I'm like, that's gonna dampen the numbers even more so. I mean, Chapman batted 230 last year, and I know averages and everything, but I mean, when you're playing in a ballpark as deep and like I don't know, ball killing at San Francisco, like those home runs, those hits, and everything that they were normally hitting, in in Miami and in Toronto, like the ball's gonna die, especially in those night games when the fog starts rolling in and everything like that. That weather makes it really hard to hit the ball hard, and we see it all the time when the D-backs go over there. It's like you see like Walker blast the ball and then it just dies at the warning track, and it's like that's how it's gonna be for them next year. And they did do a lot to make this team better, but again, they have one ace, and then there's a lot of decent to good guys after that. And I think they're relying maybe too much on Robbie Ray. If they go out and get Blake Snell, I think at that point we probably should worry about them.
Yeah.
Right
I mean,
now I'm not, but
I
they
don't worry
can.
about them, but they're kind of like what you said with like the Rockies. Like there's maybe it's just because the divisional team, like divisional games always like play harder against each other. But the Giants and Rockies, man, there's always games where they just could be the worst team in the league in that month or the entire year. But whenever they come play the Diamondbacks, they turn to the goddamn 1990 Yankees
Yeah.
and just beat the shit out of us.
And that could be the difference between playoffs and missing the playoffs too. Like if we split both series with them, we should be there's 13 games in division now, right?
I believe
I
so.
think
13, yeah.
Yeah, so like the Dodgers are just good in division, so they're probably gonna go 10-3 against these two teams. If we split against them, like I said, that could be the difference between missing the playoffs and then getting the top seed in the wild card, or even actually winning the division, which I'll mention later on.
so.
Yes.
They also have a nasty closer.
Yeah.
Doval.
Walker, right?
No,
Duvall.
Doval. Doval is a really, really good closer. Like, I think the Giants have a lot of like what if piece. Like, there's a lot of guys, and don't talk to the Giants about who has a better catcher, Dimebacks or Giants, because all they'll bring up is his frame rate. I'm like, why is
He's
that your
better at
big?
lying to the umpire than Gabriel Moreno. Okay, then let me bring you all these other stats. Thank you.
Like, he's a really good young catcher. Like, he is
Oh, yeah.
without a doubt a fantastic catcher. He also has a cannon for an arm. Like, he throws out guys too. But so did
he's not a
Gabby.
scrub. We'll make that clear. He's really good, but
Yeah, like
we got to be biased for our boy.
We do. We have to fight for our man, Gabby. But no, I think like Gabe said, they're going to be around 500. I think, yeah, I could see anywhere from 82 to 84. That might be enough for the final wild card, by the way. Because I think whoever doesn't win the East between the Phillies and Braves will probably end up being one of the wild card. And then hopefully the Diamondbacks. And then I think whoever finishes third in the NL West between the Giants and then our next team, the San Diego Padres, who look so much different.
Yeah. Not in a bad way either.
Like, I think they realized the whole spending all that money, it didn't work.
No.
Yeah. Especially on who they spent it on, because you can spend a lot of really good money, but if you spend it the wrong way, like they have 7 shortstops right now, right? Like at this point, I'm surprised they're not making one of them pitch. Like they lost a lot of guys, so I'm like, they're the weirdest team that we have in this division, where it's like they lost Blake Snell, Lamet, what's his face, Walker.
Lamet wasn't there.
I think they traded him.
Lugo. Yeah, Danielson Lamet. I think they got rid of him
like
years
halfway
ago.
through the season or whatever. Yeah, Lugo. I was thinking mostly on Lugo. So
Walker.
they have Michael Walker. Who do they have right now? Like, who's their?
I mean, their bullpen right now is Darvish, Musgrove, Michael King. Which Michael King was I'm not gonna lie, like where like King. I'm not gonna sleep on their postseason. I think the Padres could really have a like 2022 D-backs kind of year, and maybe even better than that, where there's not like the crazy expectations or like there's coming off of the disappointment, the question marks. They still have a really nasty lineup. Like they still have Tatis and Machado. They still have Cronenworth, who is a D-back killer. Ha-Seong Kim is a really good ball player still. So that, along with adding Michael King, I think he's a really good, solid pitcher for their rotation. Johnny Brito, I didn't really watch too much of him, but I know some Yankee fans that were that loved some of his stuff and his potential. So the Padres could be pretty sneaky this year. I'm not gonna lie, they have a lot of young talent.
I would just worry about the fact that they couldn't make it work with Bob Melvin last year, and that's Bob Melvin, and they got Mike Schill, who got fired from the Cardinals, and then the Cardinals went on that run and ended up making it with the CS, right?
Yeah, DS. I think they got knocked out. I think they lost to the Padres because I think it was the year the COVID year, right?
So they made. I think that was the year with the 19.
Was it 19 when they had like the lead against the Braves and then they just completely collapsed?
Oh, that like.
Or was that during the COVID year?
Because I know there's one year, the year I'm trying to remember, I think it was 19, where the Cardinals had that like insane last month of the season to like squeak into the playoffs.
And that's when they had fired Mike Schill.
Yeah, okay, that's right. It was 19. You're correct.
Yeah, so they're just a weird thing. I'm like, when I see that team, I'm like, they're going to win either 65 games or 85. Like, you just can't tell with that team.
Yeah.
Because they have the talent there. I feel like in a lot of ways they have more talent than we do, but they just can't put it together. So I'm like, maybe it's Preller's the problem, because I'm like, this whole time, all this money, all this, all these things that they've done for the team, and it's like they can't make it work. So it's like, is it a clubhouse thing? Is it a
I think
thing?
that's what it was. I think they had too many egos there. And then right at the start of spring training, they're like, hey, Xander, we're going to throw you to second. I was like, you knew that probably all off season. And I hope that they told him before spring training and not at spring training when everyone else.
Yeah, that'd be whew, yikes.
But Kim's a better shortstop. Kim is a way better defensive shortstop. Like
his bat turned around last year a lot.
It did. Like Kim's bat just came out of nowhere last year, and I think it was just him adjusting to American pitching.
Yeah,
he was from Korea.
Padres
5.8
WAR.
Yeah, like he made a massive leap last year. I think with Darvish, Musgrove, and King, that top three of their rotation could be really, really good.
Yeah, they just gotta stay healthy. That's Darvish's problem. I know Musgrove had some issues last year.
Darvish had some problems last year. I think, with the
long
walks.
as Musgrove doesn't go to the weight room in sandals, he'll be okay. Like that was one of his injuries. He dropped a dumbbell on his foot and he missed like the first 2-3 weeks of the year. So hopefully he learned his lesson. He also hasn't had a great spring to start. Padres are one of the teams that actually opened the season a week before everyone else, and then they go back and they play a few exhibition games, and then the rest are so weird. Like it is such a weird thing that MLB is doing with the Korea series. But no, I think oh my god, my hair is doing something right now. I think the Padres are going to be a lot like the Giants, around 500. Padres have 2 MVP candidates, by the way, in Tatis and Machado. Like Tatis's first year playing in the outfield, he wins not just a Gold Glove, he won the Platinum Glove.
Yeah, I made a lot of jokes last year about like, oh, like even you, Brandon, like you were like correcting me on Twitter when I was like, oh, a real right fielder would have made that play, and like and that was just me just being a D-back fan.
He had a rough.
I legitimately looked into his stats. Yeah, the first month was rough, but then end of season, I looked at his stats when he won the Gold Glove, and I was like, holy, like straight up, it's the exact same thing that Jazz Chisholm said to the Marlins that he would do. It's like, put me out there. I know it's right field, center field different, but it's like, put me out there. I'm gonna win a Gold Glove. Tatis said, fuck that, I'm winning the Platinum Glove.
Yeah, like I know everyone doesn't like him because the steroid thing. I get it. You can't deny. It's just so
exciting to watch, man.
Dude, he really he's like a little kid playing the game. Like it's so fun to watch.
Also, can we just not boo him, D-backs fans, please? Every single time we boo a player for anything that like they didn't do. Yes, he took steroids. Ryan Braun is the one guy that I will fucking boo that guy anytime he's mentioned. Doesn't play anymore, so we can't. Every time we booed Tatis last year, Like his first at bat, homer. Next at bat, double. Like just no, please, please.
Yeah.
We don't need to bring. We don't need to awaken MVP Tatis.
Yeah, and Machado might even miss the start of the year because he had a injury last year that he kept pushing off because the Padres were in the playoffs, but they were like,
I mean, they missed 2. They were like behind the D-backs 2 games or whatever. So I'm like,
if they didn't have that month and a half where they kind of stumbled to start the season, we could have.
like they led the league, but like historically bad in 1-run games or something like that. They're like 0-21 in 1-run games. So I'm like, if they switch even half of those, I mean, you're talking about a 90-something win Padres team. So if they do
it
that
wasn't
next
just one
year,
run; it was extra innings. They couldn't win in extra innings either.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
they're
like
0-11 in extra innings or something like that.
I was like,
Crazy.
you win 4 of those, and you're probably like, I don't know if the Diamondbacks are in the playoffs.
No,
like that's how great. Like that team had a lot of talent last year, and they still do.
that's why I'm like they underperformed, but it's yes they lost Soto, but they like that's where I'm like other than Soto they didn't have like any major like subtractions from like the roster. Like I feel like especially like Jackson Merrill is gonna get more chances to play. Like Ha-Seong Kim.
I don't know if he's gonna make the opening. He's still super young.
I mean, yeah, but still that's the thing with like I was saying with the Padres, like they could have a 2022 like D-backs thing where they're like, hey, like you know, if the opportunity arises, if there's the young ball players that are ready, like these guys that we've had in the system, bring them up, give them a shot. Like let them simmer a little bit.
Yeah. So I think they finished third. Personally, I think all year they're going to be bouncing back and forth. Moving on to the final team, team that probably has the highest expectations we've seen for any team in a very, very long time. There is no reason that the Los Angeles Dodgers should not run away with the West, the National League. Like they should be dominating everybody. That team has so much talent. Like the top 4 of that lineup is nasty. It's probably going to be, I think I saw Betts, Freeman, Ohtani, Will Smith.
That's
like what the
that's unfair. That's like an MLB
luck.
The Show lineup.
But then it's a lot of garbage after that, honestly.
It really is.
But that's the thing is like with the Dodgers, like it's like they're stars. They're such big stars that they just like when they shit, it turns the shit in the bottom of the lineup into stars. It's star shit. I don't know how to explain it. Like they have that
until
cheating
the playoffs.
lab.
That's the thing. It's like
playoffs coming and then just everything's washed away. Like that week long break apparently just takes it all away.
Yeah.
It won't matter how many they could win 120 games. If they don't win a World Series, who gives a damn what they did in the regular season? If I'm a Dodgers fan, that's my mindset. Like, yeah, it'll be great, but I'm not going to care till like September because it's not going to matter. It doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. We saw a prime example.
One of the problems. I feel like that's one of the problems that they've had.
They won 84 games last year, and they swept the Dodgers.
I think that's one of the problems that the Dodgers have had for the last few years, where basically the entire West had been, faltering a bit. So even Dodger fans, we always talk about the NBA, where it's like the season doesn't start until, a month before the playoffs start. I feel like Dodgers and the Dodger fans kind of have the mentality where it's like, we have the division locked and ready to go. Just hurry up and get the playoffs started already. And I feel like that can create some complacency with the Dodgers. And so by the time they get to the playoffs, they hadn't played any real games since mid-September, maybe, if that. And then about a month or something, they finally did something. But yeah, they should win 110 games. But I think when you like break it down logically, it's like, okay, who are their 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 guys in the lineup? Because it's a lot of below average guys, and we're talking about defense earlier about the offline. Gavin Lux and Mookie Betts, playing new positions. Who's in their outfield? Or are they still going to rely on what's his face, Hayward, to be good out in the outfield the whole time. They're pitching. Who's their starting pitchers? There's a
Glasnow.
lot
I
of
was
lot
talking to
of
my
good
buddy. The thing is going to probably be Glasnow,
Glasnow,
Yamamoto.
Yamamoto, great pitchers. But how long are they going to be out there? Because
it's probably gonna be Yamamoto, Glasnow, Bobby Miller, James Paxton. If Walker Buehler's good to go, that's another solid
Also, like,
arm.
But it's a lot of question marks, I think, because even Glasnow has never thrown over 120 innings in his career.
Yeah, but now that he's a Dodger, he's going to have an Iron Man elbow and shoulder, and he's going to go 220.
I don't think so, because we say that, but I mean, Bobby Miller hasn't thrown more than 100 innings. Walker Buehler got up to 150, and he blew out his elbow. They have a lot of guys who, once they reach 120, 130, they blow out their elbows. So I don't know if it's just because they do the max effort thing, so that's why they're able to, dominate. But I don't know, like I think maybe that's what it is. I mean, they also get guys who have problems anyways. That's why they're able to get Walker Buehler, because he had Tommy John in college. That's why he fell so far in the draft. But it's like these things have a 10-year limit. So some of these guys are due for certain types of regression. Yamamoto, first year in the league. Can he adjust? Can he adjust to the new ball too? Because the balls in Japan are tacky, and here they're not. So it's like Glasnow complained about that. Supposedly that's why he ended up getting Tommy John, because he couldn't adjust to not using spider tag anymore. So Yamamoto, so it's like, can he adjust to the new ball? Because I know, like, everyone was saying, like, oh, well, it wasn't Yamamoto's fault. He just had a bad defense behind him on his other start when he allowed 5 runs. And that's kind of what I was bringing up earlier about the defense. It's like, that's the Dodger defense right now. Like, who do they have? That's who's out there. So if he's not able to get, easy ground balls and flyouts or strikeouts, like, that's going to be them the entire year. And especially once you get into the playoffs, it's a totally different ballgame. And it's like 5 runs in the playoffs and 5 runs in the regular season are 2 totally different things.
Oh, massive difference.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see how Mookie plays at short. For those of you that don't know, Mookie Betts came up with the Boston Red Sox. He was known as a middle infielder, second base, shortstop. But when he came up, Boston had Dustin Pedroia. And for those of you that watched Boston during that time, Dustin was probably a top 5 shortstop. So Mookie was like, they're like, yeah, we don't need you at second base. So they put him out in right field. And then he came to the Dodgers. And Dodgers' depth at that infield spot is very lacking. So they're going to put him at shortstop. He is their temporarily permanent shortstop. That's what Dave Roberts said, which I'm like, how can you have a temporary permanent thing? I'm very curious to see how quickly do people put Mookie as a top 5 shortstop.
Oh, because it's going to be the first month of the season.
Because they did it for him at second base, but he's only played like 50 games at second. Like, I get it. He's a phenomenal athlete at right field. Doesn't always translate. But I think Dodgers could be anywhere from 96 wins to like 150. I think 96. And I'm Gary. I got to ask some of my Dodger fan friends, what is a disappointing regular season record?
I was actually asking my buddy Kendall that last night. I was like, so, because he's diehard Dodger fan. I was like, so what would the season be like? What's the biggest disappointment you can imagine for the season? He was like, I mean, biggest disappointment, not even winning the West again. He's like, but if we don't win the World Series, like, that's obviously bigger. Like,
yeah,
if you don't make the playoffs, reason. He's like, we literally need to win the World Series.
Yeah, it's like them, the Braves, and then, like they say in Moneyball, it's like 50 feet of crap. Even though obviously then it's Phillies and then everyone else and stuff like that. But it's like them and the Braves are so far up everybody else that at this point it's like it's them in the NLCS. It has to be. But as we've seen over and over again in these last few years, it's like nothing is guaranteed. Like they've been super disappointing. I think anything under 100 wins would be disappointing for them. Even if they win a division at 99 wins, I still think under 100 would be bad for them.
I agree.
So we'll have to wait and see. We do have one final topic here that we got to kind of talk about. Local Diamondbacks affiliate, the Hillsboro Hops. got some exciting news. They will be included in the state budget that requested $15 million. They will be getting a new stadium. So that's really great to hear. Like that's a lot of money for an area that's really not that big. So
yeah, really shows you how much the hops community. I mean, obviously, when we're talking to Christian about like the hops, hearing just what he was saying and just how like the community is like so around the team, like that's their team. It's just really cool to see the city's government and all that kind of like back it up. Like, cool, like this is what it is about, bringing sports to cities, whether it's a major league team or even a minor league team. Like, people want sports, you bring it there, and if they show you that they actually want it there and they still come out, then like you keep it there. That's why the Sidewinders didn't stay in Tucson. Like, that's why like other teams relocate. Hops don't have, like, Hops clearly showed like they're there because they want to be there to watch baseball.
Yeah, like that's why you see, like, it's so hard to keep track of where these teams minor league teams are, because it changes so much for this reason. It's mainly because they just stadium. So this was really good news to hear. I want to go out and check it. Like, I want to go to some minor league game this year. I'm gonna keep it up. Late in years past, I hadn't really paid attention to minor league baseball. Like, I just did. I just didn't really care. But I may have to keep an eye, because I want to see how Lynn does, because Lynn is fast. Like, Lynn is fascinating to me. Like, I think he's the one. He's the one lower end prospect that I'm really excited to keep an eye on. I still don't think he's going to be here in 2024. I really don't. I think maybe mid 2025. He's still 20 years old, so there's no reason to rush him up. And there's so many other pitchers in front of Lynn. No way. There's no way Lynn's gonna. He would have to just be like 7 innings, 3 hits for like 2 or 3 months straight. So, congratulations to the Hillsboro Hops and their stadium. Brett, you have something to say real quick?
Yeah, I know it's like not really Dbacks related necessarily, but for any of you Dragon Ball fans, you probably felt the same as I did yesterday. R.I.P. our man Akira Toriyama. Ooh, I'm getting teared up thinking about it now. A lot of good memories with that man and the series and all that, especially like watching that in the background, playing MLB The Show, talking with my brother about baseball while we're watching the show. So RIP to an absolute legend of manga.
Yeah, and by the way, Dragon Ball is huge in Mexico. They brought it over like in the 80s, I think. Like, as soon as it aired in Japan, they brought it over to Mexico, and it's huge there. Like, we have such a love for Dragon Ball. We've been watching it, for years or decades at this point. So it is really sad. Like, he was still young, and like it sucks, but
yeah, he had so many projects in the plan still.
But
it was definitely a bummer. Gabe, any parting thoughts? Dbacks related for the pod today?
Damn it, I had one. I forgot it now, but it doesn't really matter anyways.
Brett?
No, just excited that we get to see our 2 aces back on the bump. Hopefully we can see more of them in the next week and see them back to their ace potential.
Yeah, I believe there's a split squad game today, so we got 2. We can't watch either
maybe
one.
We can get one of them on TV.
Nope. I checked. We do have a game we can watch tomorrow against the Dodgers, so that'll be nice.
It's the Dodgers. God damn it.
But everyone, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future content. Make sure to check out our Twitter. That's where most of our content is posted, or content that we're about to post. So just keep an eye on that. We'll see y'all next time.